Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar with Dirty Clean Foods. My name is Emily, and I'm the Senior Campaign Lead here at Birchal. And just before I introduce you to the team, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land from which we are coming to you from today. Birchal is based on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and we pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. So today I'm joined by Jay, Christy, and Scott from Dirty Clean Foods, and Birchal is working with them on their upcoming crowdsourced funding offer. A few of you might be a little bit unfamiliar with what crowdsourced funding or CSF is, or you might know it as equity crowdfunding, but it's a relatively new form of fundraising in Australia. It started in around 2018, and it allows startups and small businesses to raise capital from a large number of smaller or retail investors, as well as wholesale and sophisticated investors through an online platform such as Birchal. So instead of seeking funding from traditional sources such as banks or venture capitalists, companies can turn to the general public, and often that can be their communities, to raise money in exchange for equity in their business. So Birchal Financial Services will be the licensed intermediary for the offer. And I just want to remind all of you who are watching today that the information and discussion in this webinar is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as advice or recommendation to invest. So I would implore you to do your own research and always consider the offer document and general CSF risk warning for investing. If you do need any more information, you can head to birchal.com or you can reach out to the team at Dirty Clean Foods. So now, how today's session is going to run, Jay, Scott, and Christy are going to take us through a fantastic presentation all about Dirty Clean Foods, where they've come from and what they're looking to achieve with their raise. If you do have any questions during that time, if you look at the bottom of your screen, there is a little Q&A box. So pop any questions you've got in there and we'll be able to go through those after the presentation. I'm just going to remind you that we are recording today's session. So if you do need to jump off early, or if you would like to rewatch anything, a recording will be sent around so you can rewatch it after the session. I'm going to stop talking now because I know I sound a little bit funny because I'm a little bit unwell. I'll hand over to the team. Please take it away.
Thanks, Emily. My name is Jay Albany, CEO of Dirty Clean Food. I'd like to first thank you for coming and attending this, and I see so many customers on the list of attendees. It warms my heart. I want to give a second to introduce you to Christy and Scott from our team. Christy and Scott, would you mind telling everyone a little bit about yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Christy Stewart. I'm the Regenerative Impact Manager for Dirty Clean Food, and I've been working with the company for 5 years, and I'm super excited about the next stage we're about to embark on.
Hi everyone, I'm Scott. Coming up to 4 years being at the company now, and I'm the company CFO. So looking forward to getting in and answering all your questions that you have about the company today.
Okay, thanks, Christy. Thanks, Scott. And thank you, everyone. I'm going to share a presentation and tell you a little bit more about Dirty Clean Food. Okay, wonderful. We are really excited to be here this late morning in Perth and early afternoon in the Eastern States. We're launching, as you know, a crowdfunding raise. We're honored so far to receive so much support from our friends, families, and or expressions of interest and customers here in Perth. And this webcast is a good opportunity to give you an overview of the company and where we're at. So the first thing I want to tell you is that what you're investing in, hopefully, is a really special team. This is an amazing team here in Perth. This is a group of foodies, a group of people who care about the planet, and a group of people who really want to make a difference in their job and in the food environment and industry here in Perth. It's a great team, over 35 people here in this warehouse in Kewdale in Western Australia, and we're very excited to share what we're doing about the company. Now, this group of people got together to address a significant problem. We all know about climate change, and we see it in our daily lives. And a lot of times we feel disassociated with what we can do about it in our daily lives. And we hear a lot about how scary climate change is, but one of the things that not everyone knows is that the food industry, modern industrial food system, is really a huge contributor to climate change. And this is an industry we make decisions with our consumer behavior every single day. It's responsible for 30% of global emissions, 70% of biodiversity loss. And in our opinion, 100% of bad tasting food. So we got together as this group. We want to do something about it. We've built Dirty Clean Food to address these problems, not on a global scale. We want to start in our communities. We want to start right here in Perth, and we've been working in the world's most isolated capital city to really test a model. Can we create a unique business that connects consumers and farmers right here in Perth? And if we can get this model right, how can we scale it to new cities? So we're a company that delivers and it makes it easy to buy really, really good food. And we get really good food. And we get this from amazing, great people, local regenerative farmers who are in our communities in Western Australia. And regenerative farming means farming in a holistic way that respects our local ecosystems, focused on significant principles that are really centered around improving soil health, a learning journey for how we farm to create a better planet, the water cycle, and biodiversity. And we take this really great food with our really good people, and we bring it to you wherever you shop, to your home, at your favorite grocery store, or at some of the best restaurants in Perth. We're actually in 40% of the WA Good Food Guide's top 100 restaurants, something we're proud of and something we're hoping to increase. We've got great products. I love our website, and you're on the website, you get the same quality food as the top chefs in town do. If you don't believe me, here's a shameless plug. Here's a coupon code. Use Birchal 15. Give our website a shot if you're in our delivery zone. If you're not in our delivery zone, maybe send a gift to a friend who lives in our area. This, by the way, is our pork producer, Brian, at Yanma Pork. He's been nominated as a national award winner. He's got the best produce for pork in the state, so we're very excited about that. That award will be determined in early August after this raise, but go Brian. So who is this crazy American guy talking to you over Zoom? Actually, I am so thrilled to work with this great team at Dirty Clean Food. I literally moved to Australia and I'm a citizen, because I loved the land and the environment here. I came here with my family. You can see here it's more than a few years ago now. This is in 2014. Unfortunately, that's not Western Australia. It's Cradle Mountain in Tasmania, but I did fall in love with the whole country. I came here and I just fell in love with the land. And it's such an honor to be a part of a team that works every day to provide delicious food. As you can see from this photo, I'm someone who appreciates good food, and I consume it, to my max. And have a company dedicated to protecting this great place that we all live in, this amazing land. My background is I am very excited to share with you. A lot of people don't know this about me. I came from the United States. I worked in New York. I've had multiple successful startups, including Dirty Clean Food, where we've gone with, from inception to turnover over $10 million. I spent a decade or more, actually, on Wall Street at two buy-side investment firms. So I'm definitely trained in bringing commercial acumen and analysis to this role. We are absolutely focused on how do we build a for-profit and for-purpose business that achieves commercial milestones and builds value. And obviously, I have an impressive beard in the past. Now I'm a little bit more clean cut. So this is actually a great time to be going after this market that I've been speaking about. When I met the the early days of the team here. Regenerative farming was a little bit of a niche concept. It's really accelerated as an industry, and really this is, you know, thinking about social impact, environmental impact of your purchasing decisions is something that has gone from a I'd like to do this, but it needs to meet other criteria, to something that's actually driving a lot of consumer packaged good growth. So I think the time's right to be in this industry. It is a big opportunity. This is a multi-billion-dollar global industry. Dirty Clean Food serves a great role in this industry. We are not farmers. We're a very differentiated sales and distribution and marketing platform with authentic communication associated with trust with the consumer. I see this as, you know, hopefully becoming sort of the next super cycle in food, similar to how organic might have been 20 years ago. This could be a massive change. We think we can play a leading role in it, starting here. What's our secret sauce? Why are we differentiated? Well, we're differentiated because we have been doing this for a long time. This company was founded 5 years ago. We are extremely open, transparent, and authentic, and we really do things to make change. I'm going to let you read this, but one of the things I'm really proud about, we influence 26,000 hectares of land under regeneration through our farming supply network. Last year, we planted 100,000 seedlings in our supplier network as part of a really innovative carbon credit program that makes that program available to family farms that may otherwise not have been able to participate. I'll let you guys ask questions about that more in the Q&A, but it's super exciting. This is not your standard phantom carbon credit program. This is biodiverse seedlings planted on farms with the intent to bring back wildlife that had been removed through the clear-cutting process that happens with large acre cropping. Talked a lot about our impact and the things that we feel really good about. We are committed here to strong financial performance. Here are just some numbers. I'm going to pause a second. I think these numbers show how much demand has been proven, that what we're doing is working. In Perth, I think this shows we've figured it out. We've figured out a model, how to connect with consumers, and we're doing this raise to realize funds to be able to expand and share what we've done with the world. Consistent growth and demand. We've really, once we launched the business, we had very high acceleration of revenue growth. You can see here, growing from 1.4 to over $11 million in the last year. Pretty substantial growth trends there. We're also committed to reducing cash burn and becoming a cash positive company. We're not one of these companies that is going to talk the talk, but just burn cash. Our goal is, and we are fully committed with everyone on this team, to take this business and prove it works commercially as well as from an impact side. So significant progress in our cash burn over the last several quarters within the Dirty Clean Food unit. I should say historicals have been extrapolated from Wide Open Agriculture Limited statements, but we're super excited with where we're at and the trends that we're seeing here. How did we achieve that improvement in cash flow? Well, a lot of things, but from an income statement perspective, what you've seen is dramatic margin improvement with attention to the business, attention to unit economics, and driving variable free cash flow per order, and then driving that above a fixed base as we approach free cash flow. Oops, that is not the source of that, but you can see here that the current mix of business is about 40% to consumer, retail is about 20%. The wholesale and restaurant business is about 34%. Just so we're clear, I see that typo, and that is a reference to the 30% of emissions and 70% of biodiversity loss earlier. Apologies for that. Export is something we're very excited about. It's a growing business, single-digit revenue now, but something we have high hopes for, and we are expecting to continue margin expansion into the future. We see significant opportunities for this through improving product mix, through accelerating growth in the areas that have a better margin profile, and through a focus on unit economics and better inventory utilization, particularly in the livestock area. So takeaways here, we're a company you should feel good about backing. I invite you to join our community at Dirty Clean Food. We connect customers to regenerative farmers who are local in a way that is authentic and creates a two-way dialogue. You can taste the difference. We are a food company, so our food does taste really good. Again, invite you to use the shameless plug, Birchal 15, if you want to test it out yourself. We make genuine impact. We're not here talking about sustainability. We're talking about the regeneration and long-term improvement of our soils in the state. And we are poised for growth. We've proven it in Perth. We're going to expand regionally in WA. We're going to expand our products, and then we're going to take what we've learned, package it, and look for new market expansion outside of the state. So with that, I'd like to thank you for tuning in. I'd love to thank customers. There's so many customers on this call. That says a lot about the company and the product, obviously, but it also says a lot about this community we have here in Perth. I'd like to thank you for being a customer and supporting us. The offer goes live next week. Key stages, as Emily mentioned, there'll be an offering document that comes on the Birchal website that has important information, as well as the actual live. So we're in an expression of interest phase, and then we'll be moving into an actual fundraising stage. So I please encourage you to check this space and stay on top of it as that moves forward. Now I would like to open the floor for questions. We'll have a fun Q&A.
Thank you so much, Jay. Really appreciate it. Can you tell me a little bit about your team? How big is the team at the moment?
Yeah, we're 35 employees here. There is a combination of full-time desk-based staff and warehouse team who make 30,000 deliveries a year. So there's a lot of active back and forth, hands-on work, as well as sales, marketing, and finance.
Amazing. And which markets are you going to grow into, and why have you chosen those markets?
Well, we're going to start with, we started in Perth. We're born in Perth. We did try in a prior year expanding with a consumer product strategy into the eastern states, and it was expensive and difficult. So what we're going to do is expand with growing our core strategy. So we've circled the wagons around where we do best, where we have the best brand, and we'll expand from Perth into regional WA with hubs. We'll also be expanding our product offering to get to have a greater selection and make the website easier for our core customers who are already here as a method of growth. And then we'll look with a partner-based expansion to go to the eastern states. And we are hopeful we'll have some opportunities to use a partner-based strategy to expand into other geographies.
So I think you just answered someone's question at the same time. That was great. Why would you say that your company is so important now, in particular when you're looking at, the real issues that farmers are seeing with big supermarkets in Australia?
That's a really good question. The duopoly structure here is tough on farmers. To answer that question as briefly as I can, we're an ally to farmers, and we're focused on. I didn't cover this as much in the presentation, but we're focused on a model called 4 Returns, which is something we've adopted from Common Land, who's given us a very generous grant to help our impact work over the next 3 years. One of those returns is social returns. So it's for profit, for purpose. One of them is social returns, and I really feel strongly that the sort of slow death of the family farm is something I saw when I was growing up in Birmingham, Alabama, and I think it's something everyone here in Australia can relate to. And really, that is a unfortunate byproduct of all of the infrastructure that's been put in the food industry and the consolidation that's happened from the customers, from the distributions, and the retailers in an effort to make food more accessible and less expensive to feed the world. We think there's been some big mistakes. We think our company offers a better way that allows for local agriculture, local family farmers farming in a stewardship to their land. So what we do that I think is really cool is we're supporting these small local family farmers, and we're supporting them in a way that gives them fair offtakes, a premium to what they might get in the big system, and we're an advocate for them. And the way we're able to be an advocate for them is to go directly to the consumer, because you can't expect after you spend so much investing in a regenerative agriculture project that you're just going to be able to command a premium in the same old. So that's why our brand exists, to really defend the goodness of what they're doing.
Thanks, Jay. Could you say what you would consider to be the biggest threats to Dirty Clean Foods business model?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we just really, I hope, have moved past a very large external threat with respect to liquidity. The company has had a successful seed raise, and we've focused very hard on lowering our operating costs, our fixed costs, over which hopefully came through in those slides. So we're focused on controlling our own destiny. In terms of external threats from competition, this has served us well so far, and I'll continue it until there's evidence to contradict it. We've really had a community and collaborative based approach with like-minded food companies, and that has worked to our benefit for 5 years. I am not competing. If Regen Ag takes off and there is 20 similar companies to Dirty Clean Food in the country, those are likely partners for me. I think where our growth and our opportunities come from is really taking business away from the conventional food system. Hopefully that answers your question.
I think so. So we've had a few people ask some questions around return on investment. So I think that it's very common for people to be a little bit confused as to what crowdsourced funding is and early stage investments such as this. So really depends. So when you're making an investment under a crowdsourced funding offer, you should really consider it as a medium to long-term investment. So any company that does raise funds under the crowdsourced funding regime in Australia is what is considered either a privately listed or a publicly unlisted company. So that means that they're not listed on an exchange platform such as the ASX. So it means that your shares will be what's considered illiquid. So you can't buy and sell like you would on the ASX. Therefore, there's different ways that you can expect to see a return on your investment in the future. For example, if the company does undertake an IPO and lists on a securities exchange, or if they undertake an exit event, like they sell the company, or if you transfer your shares to a third party and the price of those shares is guaranteed, or if the company declares dividends, company undertakes a share buyback, etc. There's a few different ways. However, it's not feasible for companies at an early stage like this to give a forecasted return on investment. So hopefully that makes sense. But please do reach out to us at birchal.com if that was confusing in any way. Happy to answer some questions. So over the last year, obviously all of us has seen some cost of living pressures. How are you addressing those?
We've certainly seen that in our business as a cost pressure. Certainly it is real. The costs of our ingredients rose a lot over the last 12 months. What we've done is look to get better utilization. Now, we did raise prices last year, certainly. I hope a fair and reasonable amount. We did increase the minimum order to sort of help cover so that we didn't have to increase our delivery fee materially, so that we could still service people and have the opportunity for free delivery as a way to deal with rising fuel costs. But in general, what we're focused on is, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit in the day-to-day operations. And so we're like laser focused on per order economics. So what is our average order? What is our average gross profit dollars per order? How much does it cost to deliver us an order? And all the things that feed each of those statistics, yield something that internally we call, this is not a Australian standard financial number, but internally we call it engine room return. And it's really about us coming up with a proxy for a free cash flow per activity. So that's what we're focused on. And the key levers to deal with rising costs are basically getting better density on your deliveries, getting larger average orders, optimizing your inventory so it goes in the right channel. That slide that had a typo on it that I'm still mad at myself about. That one showed, we have different margin structures in, our direct to consumer versus wholesale and restaurant versus retail. So, trying to optimize our products so that we're getting the best return, in a way that we can do without having to have a material raise to prices. Scott, did you have anything you wanted to add on that? I feel like I've been talking a lot, and you are an excellent CFO who everyone on the team loves.
No, I think you've answered that very well, Jay. And the pressures for us were real. I mean, in the data, for our 2023 year, our margins were actually quite low. I think we were just over the 6% mark. And through doing the activities that Jay just mentioned, we were able to improve our margin for the 2024 year to over 15%. So you're looking at almost 148% increase year on year. We're optimizing distribution channel mix, which is another kind of area where we need to focus as a team. So we've actually seen online, our digital channel grow year on year by over 10%, and our retail channel has also grown year on year by 25%. And where there are increased costs in our restaurant and wholesale channel, we've actually seen a reduction in the growth in that channel year on year by circa 28%. So we're focusing in areas where, as a business, we get more bang for buck, and that's kind of evident through the data.
Really, thank you. Following on from that question as well, are you still seeing a steady growth from your consumers about making better choices and taking power away from the duopoly of Coles and Woolworths?
Yeah, yes. So as Scott mentioned, and as you can see in the presentation, we had significant growth for the first 4 years and pretty stable, slightly down this fiscal year that is ended June 30th. There's several factors that affected that, and I think we're still learning about what that was. Certainly one of the factors is what we've just discussed, which is that there's been inflation and there's pressure on consumers. Certainly that is an explanation. In terms of our core businesses that we're investing in, digital sales into independent grocery and export, those, as Scott mentioned, all had positive trends. So we feel good about that. I think the other thing that is a little difficult to quantify, but I think if you ask the team, it all feels true, is that the history of this business is one in which we were part of a company founded by folks I admire, but was really pursuing multiple business streams to commercialize regen ag. And that business focused on a different product line and focused the resources on that, including pulling me onto that project. So which, of course, as an ambitious person, I happily did. This is not a feel bad story, but it is explanation that I think, last year was a tough year for the team, being sort of second fiddle to the plant-based strategy. And there's an energy in this group right now that feels like the first couple of years. So obviously we can't give guidance, but we're feeling really good about where the business is and the trajectory and how our core lines that are performing.
Thank you. So what is your plan at the moment for reducing non-compostable plastic for your meat and fish products?
Christy, do you want to, sorry, Christy, as you probably remember from before I started talking for a long time, is our Regenerative Impact Manager. We've done a lot of work on these areas, and I will let Christy answer that because she can give much better specificity than I can.
Yeah, I think we've been researching a fair bit into alternatives to packaging and trying to find something that stacks up for shelf life is really important. So that's something that the team's working really hard on at the moment. We've been working on this for about 5 years, so we're seeing some more alternatives that are looking better coming into the market now, but it's definitely somewhere we're going to keep focusing our research on.
Yeah, that's very true. I'll just add, Emily, you know, we had compostable meat packaging in the first year or two of the business, but we were seeing extremely high failure rates on the bags. So now we have recyclable plastic bags, which is something we're not thrilled about, but is the best combination of safety, limiting waste, and meeting our ambitions. As Christy mentioned, the technology has gone through an improvement, so we'll be looking at that. In terms of the in-grocery packs, we're really proud of what we've done. We reduced the plastic on that pack. I think we have something called a skin pack machine, which all the grocery stores want because it has about 50% longer shelf life than sort of your typical wrap over meat product. And we have a recyclable tray and about I think it's 85% less plastic in our pack versus a standard pack. So we have made investments where we can, and it's something we always look at.
It's just made me think of one of our other clients that raised on the Birchal platform. Have you heard of cassava bags?
Oh, have you heard of those, Christy? That sounds somewhat familiar, but I'd love an introduction if
I will
that
introduce
would work.
you. For anybody who hasn't heard of them, they're what looks like a plastic bag, but it's made out of cassava root and they dissolve in water. I mean, they're waterproof until they're like fully submerged and then they completely dissolve. So could be a great solution.
Amazing.
I'll pop you guys in touch. All right. So where is a place that anybody could go to find more information around your regeneration impact? And is it possible to go and physically see the results of your efforts?
Yep, I can take that one. So we've recently done a series of 12 blog posts on our regenerative agriculture principles and practices. So they're currently on our website under news. We also have produced a regenerative impact report for last year. So that one is also available up on our website. We do have one event per year that's hosted out on a farm. That's usually at Runnymede Farm, which is down in Harvey, which is a fantastic one to come along to. So we're working on that at the moment to see if we can get that happening on the farm in around October. So we'd love to do more of these things. So if anyone has any requests of the kind of things they would like to see or the kind of farms they'd like to visit, we're always open to having discussions around that.
Amazing. Thanks, Christy. So some of your growth over 2020 to 2023 could potentially be linked towards the pandemic. What is the customer retention rate like in a normal environment?
That's a really good question, and I will absolutely admit that that first big year of growth was driven by external demand from COVID. I mean, it was a moment. So just to get the year correct, I think it might have been fiscal year 20, ending June 30, 2020. Yeah, we were really fortunate when in a terrible time to have been set up with processes and an infrastructure to have a team that was really committed to this business to service with home delivery during COVID right from the first day. So what we did in that situation was move our communication. So we lost probably 3/4 of our business, which was restaurants. At that time, restaurants just are larger customers. So in the earlier stages, they had a bigger impact on the revenue mix. scratching our heads for sure. But then the orders just were piling into the online business, and we literally stopped and redid all of our operational flows based on an online first, home delivery first business. WA reopened. I don't know what the right word is. Reopen is definitely not the right word, but WA went back to a sort of, you could go outside and go to restaurants a lot earlier in Western Australia than in the rest of the country. So we kind of adjusted back to normal-ish, probably earlier than a lot of our folks in the eastern states. And we really, yeah, I mean, I remember this day pretty clearly. We wrote a strategy, 1 + 1 = 2. Like, let's keep our online business and go get all our restaurants back. And that was our focus for about 6 months. And we've continued to see really dramatic growth online. And I'm really grateful for that. I think there's probably two factors. One is that I hope, we have a really high net promoter score, and I think that people enjoyed the service and liked the taste of the meat, and that was their first experience, and it was a good one. Number two is that during COVID, because we were sort of fortunate in this market to be best set up to go with home delivery, we didn't like keep it to ourselves. We created this partner outreach called Friends of Dirty Clean Food, where we went to our friends at the farmers market, some of our friends who helped us get started. There's a company in town called Finn's, has, we think the best fish in Perth, serves many of the top restaurants. Those guys were extremely generous with contacts and help when we were launching Dirty Clean Food. And so we worked with them a lot to put their fish on our platform and keep their delivery guys busy while and paid while they were waiting for restaurants to come back. So I think embracing this community and just being a friend to like-minded businesses was built a larger network. So I think that's a lot of what happened as, when the state kind of went back to normal, we just kept seeing really dramatic growth.
I'll just add to that as well, specifically around retention for our online channel. Current 12-month rolling retentions at about 55%. So still quite high through the pandemic period. It was slightly higher than that. It was around the 60% mark. But what we found is we're still retaining customers that we're bringing in. And Jay rightly did point out that we did benefit through the pandemic. We experienced almost 130% growth in our online channel throughout that year. But the current financial year, where, as I mentioned earlier, was 11% growth, and the growth between the 22 and 23 years was also 33%. So it's not like the growth has tailed off. We're still there and kicking along, and the retention stats are still quite strong.
Great, thank you. So since so much of your brand is tied to the quality and availability of the produce from your suppliers, what risk mitigation is in place there, just to try to avoid issues with suppliers not being able to meet demand or selling to another distributor?
Chrissy, I'm going to ask you to join in a second, but just going to state generally that that's a risk. I mean, we're a small business and we offer multiple delicious products. And in some cases, we're not big enough to have, many backups or a huge network, because we need to have orders large enough to have a good relationship with the farmer. In some areas, we do have backup, or I guess, a rotation of suppliers. In general, this is a risk with the business. I'm not going to lie, but it is something that I'm less worried about now than I was in the beginning, where we were very much dependent on 1 or 2 suppliers, and it was hard to get new suppliers. Nowadays, we do have inbound inquiries to be a partner for Dirty Clean Food, and everyone who has an inbound inquiry gets to talk to Christy. So I will now hand over to her.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a good question. And one of the things I'm really proud about with Dirty Clean Food is that we build long-term stable partnerships with our farmers. So most of the farmers that we've been working with now have been working with us for the whole time we've been operating. I think some came in 4 years ago as opposed to 5 years ago. So what we've done is we've prioritised those relationships, and we've helped those farmers grow their businesses as we've been growing our business. So we have a really loyal set of farmers that work with us, and it goes both ways. So one of the wonderful things about my role is that we have a really transparent, open relationship. So for example, if a farmer is having a production issue that means we're going to get less cattle, for example, in a week, then we can talk about it, figure out what's happening, find an alternative plan and make it work. Another example is we used to have many cattle suppliers, and we used to have them all come on at different times of the year. And we had a little bit of inconsistency with quality, like carcass size and carcass quality. And where we've landed is that we have one main finishing supplier, and we now have a series of store suppliers that suppliers to this finishing supplier. So in that way, we're supporting even more family farms, because not everyone is at a scale that can supply the number of cattle per week that we're currently asking for. And it also means that our finishing supplier knows how to plan consistently to be able to produce the exact number of cattle that we want each week. And we work with him on a sort of a 3-month projection, because it takes him quite a while to grow out the animals to our specifications. So if we think our demand is going up or down, we give him as much notice as possible. And we've been able to work together and be really flexible to make it work for both parties. So we do a lot of work in the background to make sure that we keep hold of these relationships.
Great, thank you so much. For all your new shareholders that will be coming on board when you do launch your offer next week, are you going to be offering rewards such as customer discounts?
Yes, we will be coming up for a rewards program for investors who come aboard. Absolutely. I hope it'll be a fun and exciting one that we'll have and announce next week. If you have any desires or something that you think works very well, please shoot us an email or put it in the chat, and we'll take a look. But we are cooking up a couple of exciting things, so please stay tuned.
Awesome, thank you. But a few people asked the question of what your key aim of the money gained from the raise will be used for. Can you give a little bit of an overview?
Scott, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so I think Jay's touched on it briefly in the presentation, but we'll go into a little bit more detail now. So specifically in the money we want to grow, and we want to grow regionally. So we'll use the money to put hubs in areas that are inaccessible to our products currently. I think what we've seen and heard is there's a lot of demand for our product, and a lot of businesses can't get to regional and far-reaching areas. So we definitely like to invest in that space, so a lot more people can taste what we offer. There's definitely more process improvements and IT improvements here in our warehouse that we're going to invest in for further efficiencies in margin, as we spoke about, and just general equipment as well. So that's a definite area that we will be focusing on, and then just general spend for ongoing operations. We are moving to be cash flow positive. We are hoping to get there as soon as possible, but the investment is going to help us get to that space as well.
That's a really good answer, Scott. Thank you. Emily, the only thing I would add to that is there is some working capital involved in obviously in launching those new hubs and in expanding our products. The key areas for product expansion that we want to invest in. You would have seen if you're a customer, we just launched a sort of a pilot with pet food. That has had a really good response. We worked with a partner on that. We want to expand that. We have a high demand for fresh produce. We currently have several partners who provide fresh produce boxes on a subscription. So we want to invest in that whole experience, making the subscription and checkout easier. That's a technology project, which we think will improve margins, as Scott said, and also make your weekly ordering experience easier, especially if you're on your phone. And then we want to add more options available. So it's not just a box. There's more single product produce options to add. So we hope customers will enjoy that. And yes, regional expansion, and then we will be putting together oh yes, sorry, I forgot about it. We received our wine license recently, so we'll be launching a regenerative and biodynamic wine section over the next several months. So stay tuned for that. That also requires a little bit of a project, but I think I can think of no better improvement and to my ordering experience than having a nice biodynamic wine from Margaret River added to my weekly steak order.
I could think of nothing better as well. So you've got a few customers on today, actually, and a few of them noticed that sometimes with the growth, a few popular items are sold out. How are you going to address these shortages if you grow even further?
That's a good question as well. What I can say is that we're implementing, so there's multi-layers to that. In the past, if we grew with sort of bursting patterns like you saw in the first half of that graph, it was literally difficult for us to use statistics to forecast inventory because you take historical data and it was very difficult. More recently, the company, like say in the last 12 months to 18 months, the company overall, including our parent company, was focused on a cash generation or reducing cash burn in this business pretty aggressively. So there was a higher tolerance for out of stocks. Going forward, what our plan is to bring back in retail math and statistical models to rank products by popularity and prioritize them for online. So I expect that, and so we've already increased production to rebuild some of the inventory that that would address that. So, for example, for anyone who's not familiar with a cow, a popular cut is a tenderloin. It's sold as an eye fillet. That is not very much of the animal. So you need, in order to not be stocked out on some of these steaks that everyone loves, you have to have balanced sell-through, in all the channels in order to have enough steaks, and you have to prioritize which channels get the steaks and keep track of it. So long answer, we'll be increasing the tolerance in our model to account for sort of a higher in-stock levels for A and B products and that we currently have there.
And there is one more point to make. We touched on that we've made small investments to date through inventory management systems, so IT improvements to give us better visibility on our stock in the system. So we've had good results from these small investments that we've made to date. We've actually seen our inventory write-off decrease by almost 1.5%. In 2024 versus 2023. So we're down around the 3% mark for our inventory write-off number now, which is good. So, but as we mentioned earlier, we still need to invest in this space, and we acknowledge that we do. And with further improvements that we can make, it would give us better visibility and allow us better runway to get in front of these higher selling products that you sometimes might find are sold out online.
Great, thank you. This might be a question for Christy. With regenerative farming and environmental principles, what importance do you place on animal welfare?
Animal welfare is definitely a very important one. So when we were looking at creating our farm plan structure, which is what we have in lieu of the third-party regenerative certification, animal welfare has its own section in there. And one of the wonderful things with my role is that I get to work one-on-one with the farmers, and it's a lovely thing that you don't have to go to a farm and take a checklist and make sure that the farmers are doing these things and delve into it. You go to the farm and they're like, oh, look at what we just did to make this, these yards better for the cows to move through. Or look what, well, actually the most recent one is come along to this livestock handling course that we're hosting next week. So you get to learn more about how we have such wonderful livestock handling skills. So we've written all of this into our regenerative farm plan. So when I go out to the farms to check what the farmers are up to in terms of their regenerative practices, I check out those five animal welfare sections. So, and this is also part of our production protocols, which are our non-negotiable protocols that our farmers have to adhere to who supply us. So, and one of the ways that we're trying to show our customers about what our farmers are doing is through our social media. And we're finding that the more transparent we are about what our farmers are doing, the happier our customers are to purchase from us. So rather than having a third-party certification, a stamp saying we're doing good things, if we can actually show you what Blythe and Steve and Cole are doing on their farms, then you can trust that we're supporting farmers with high welfare practices.
That's great to hear. How do you see your space compared to the organic market? And are you competitive given less certified organic or biodynamic products?
Christy, I'll just say something quickly and then I'll let you give your spin on it as well. Look, I prefer what we're doing to organic. I think it's using sort of plain speak. I think the focus on improving soils, having healthier dirt, and improving and acknowledging the complexity of the soil biome is a better long-term plan. Whereas organic is really complying to a regulation of inputs. However, I love organic, and if I can't buy my own food, I would absolutely buy organic food because I think organic farmers are our partners and like-minded folks, and it's a lot better than non-organic. So absolutely supportive of organic. Been a customer who would pay a little extra for organic for decades. I just like our products better. But I'll go with Christy to give a more detailed explanation.
Yeah, no, I'd have to agree with Jay on that one. Organic farming is great as well. I guess regenerative farming is a little bit different in that the focus we place on soil health is paramount. So quite often with organic, it's about not using any chemical inputs. For example, an organic farmer could produce a grain from ground that has been highly tilled, and they will till it in order to stop weeds growing or suppress weeds. Whereas regenerative farming doesn't allow for that because that destroys your soil structure. So they're actually, when practiced well, they're actually quite similar. For example, all of our, beef, pork, lamb and chicken farmers don't use any chemicals on their pastures because of the way that they practice holistic planned grazing. So they don't need to use any pesticides or herbicides or fungicides. They're actually building up the health of the soil with the animals. So they're not certified organic, but they don't use any chemical inputs in that way. So there are definitely similarities. So I think both systems are great. I just like the emphasis that regenerative puts on, I guess, more of a holistic farm plan.
Thank you, Gov. We've got quite a few questions to go. I know that we would generally keep these to an hour, but I'm sure we can fit in just a few more. And I think we'll probably run a second webinar just to keep up with all of them. But it's very exciting to see how interested everybody is in the company. So I love the enthusiasm. So I'll just go through a couple more. And then if anybody does have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to the team at Dirty Clean Foods via their Birchal profile. I'll pop the link in the chat box as well. How do you test the nutritional value of your products compared to others?
But I love that. I love this interesting question. So Christy actually was a part of a pretty robust project to do that. What I'll just say is that there's pretty significant third-party findings that grass-finished beef, which is one of our best-selling and largest revenue contributors, is healthier than grain-finished and feedlot finished beef. And this is easily findable. I'll let Chrissy speak some of the details about how we're validating that with our own work, because we can't just rely on third-party research from another part of the world, but what the initial findings that I've read are that you have a better omega-3 to omega-6 ratio. You have other nutrients that are present more in grass-fed beef and grass-finished. So just so everyone's clear, grass-finished means most cows start on grass in Australia, but grass-finished means that last stage where they grow. So the conventional beef cattle farming finishes them in a feedlot. They're all close together eating some kind of grain. Where I'm from, they eat corn. So they have the diet is significantly altered for the last significant percentage of their weight gain. And it usually usually means that they're subject to, because of the proximity and the way that happens, they have to be treated with, medicines that wouldn't be allowed in our program. So I think those are some exciting things. There's a lower risk of heart disease and cancer and type 2 diabetes shown in some of these studies, but I think we're working ourselves to really validate that internally, and I'll let Christy tell you about some of the work we've done and probably add a little bit more detail.
Yeah, so last year we did start a project looking at nutritional value. I think we were running it on beef, lamb, chicken, and eggs. There's been some interesting information coming out of it, but what we really need is over 12 months of testing to prove what we're trying to prove. So it's still in the process, so we can't say anything about the definite benefits until we've got all the data. But it is looking promising, like Jay was saying, particularly with the beef. Like, that's something that's already been proven by other third parties. The omega-3 to 6 ratio is much better. That's the main one, and higher linoleic acid as well. So if you want to have a look about what we've been doing in that space, check out our Regen report from last year, which is on the website, and I think we'll be putting some more information out publicly about that once we've got all our test results back.
Brilliant. I'll just go through one final question, but I have popped the Birchal profile for Dirty Clean Food in the chat box in case anybody has any additional questions, but we will let you know about an additional webinar that will be coming up soon. So the last question, has the new so-called bird flu spread had any effect on the Western Australian poultry farmers?
Yeah, so not yet. So we've already been to a meeting to see what the implications will be for WA. And at the moment, it's just watch this space. So yes, it will definitely affect us if it reaches WA. We're hoping it's going to be able to be contained, but we're not sure if that's going to be realistic. So at the moment, we're just monitoring the situation, and we do have some procedures in place if it does get into WA, but it's still a bit of an unknown. But we've been working with our producers and a local vet as well on what those implications will be for us. So if anything urgent pops up that we feel like we need to tell our customers about, we'll definitely put some information out on our blog or on our social media.
It's good to know that you guys are ahead of the game for that one. All right, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you everybody for being so enthusiastic and for putting forward such great questions. It's good to see that everybody's so enthused and engaged in the piece. If you do have any more questions, reach out, please. If you'd like to ask any more questions about crowdsource funding, please reach out to support@birchal.com. We'd be happy to answer your questions. But looking forward to your offer opening next week, guys. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Thanks
having
everyone
us.
for joining.